Night Terrors issue 2, Joshua Williamson writing with Stefano Nisi, Caspar Wingard, and Giuseppe Camunculi on the art. So it's the same trio of artists, I think, from last issue.
From issue 1.
From issue 1. And I will say, like, much like last time, although I think it was even worse this time, I was like, oh, the first few pages, I like this art, and then it changed, and I'm like, okay, that was a bit jarring, and then it changed again, and I'm not shitting you, the last 2 pages of this book, when it shifted to like this sort of dark scene where it's just like black and red, I could not tell what I was looking at. I had to adjust my eyes for like a minute to eventually see that there was people standing there, because it was just a mess of red lines on black. So basically what I'm saying is, as far as art's concerned, I'm not ranking this highly at all.
Nope. I'm with you on that one, and I'm wondering if it's because of there's those I think they're Win covers that are red and black. Let's see. Let me go to this week's.
Yeah, that was a Dustin one. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a take on, but yeah, I couldn't tell, like, am I supposed to know who these characters are? Like, I know they're the Sleepless Knights, but you can't really get a sense of them. Yeah. Like,
they're just the Sleepless Knights, Matt. That's all they are.
No, I know, but like, are these supposed to, if you're reading the other Night Terrors, are these supposed to be reminiscent of you know, nightmares that are popping up in all the other heroes' dreams and stuff? You know, like, is that where Insomnia is pulling them from?
Well, we've read most of those, and I don't recognize them, so.
Right, but in the moment, that's what I was wondering. I will give Williamson credit here on tying Insomnia to some of the modern events that have happened, right? Like the whole Arkham Tower, the Lazarus Reign, all this other stuff. It's not like it's some guy from the deep past like we were worrying about it being. So, I
mean, I like the first page, which was kind of Deadman doing like a talk show, kind of welcoming us back to the story. I like the first few pages of Sandman and Deadman in Batman's body, like discussing what's going on. Unfortunately, though, as soon as Sandman started talking about his experience with this cult, where he first heard of the Nightmare Stone back in the Golden Age days, I really started to be like, hate it. And honestly, like, I've been saying for First Blood, for issue 1, I was like, I'm kind of into the main story well enough, but Williamson usually lets me down eventually. Unfortunately, issue 2 is where that has landed for me.
Oh man, I mean, I'm a sucker for a robed up cult story. You know, like I like them as foils. So seeing like they were trying to pull the Nightmare Stone.
I should probably clarify. It wasn't necessarily the first time we see the cult. Like, that part of it was okay. It was when we get to the living descendant of the cult, and we see into his nightmare, and we do a whole bit with him, and Insomnia coming to like mess with him and his nightmare, thinking he might know where the Nightmare Stone is. Like, we spend several pages with this like character who's, you know, tangentially related to what's going on, with Nightmare going after them. There was just nothing interesting about it, and I felt like I don't know, it took up so much of the issue. It felt like it was kind of wallowing in like its own little corner of mythology that I just did not like or think was that exciting.
I mean, I like that he explodes into coins like a Mario character. That was pretty cool. No? Yeah. I just like the Sandman stuff with him, you know, going back into time, and like it was a case that he, you know, was investigating, and he thinks that he foils this ritual sacrifice, but no, the whole point was the cult leader was sacrificing himself to bring about the Nightmare Stone. I like that little wrinkle, you know. And again, the pulpiness there. And then just Insomnia's origin of, you know, he exists he's not one of these characters that, you know, he was in the background, or he's from, you know, dead man's past or whatever. It's, you know, his powers were awakened because of, you know, he was in Arkham Tower, and the Lazarus Reigns, you know, aggravated whatever. And that's where he comes from. So
yeah, we knew that from last issue.
Right, but the fact that he was a new character, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, you know, it was someone that we weren't expecting. So, credit there. I think I do like the look of him with the red eyes, right? Like I do think that's a pretty unique, you know, like his real world version. You know, it gives that guy a creepiness factor instead of just being a dude in a orderly chair. So
I mean, I wasn't super into that when it happened though, which is Dead Man like sort of like feeling pain and then be like, oh, I'm still connected to insomnia because of what happened.
Yeah, that was
before.
a bit of a laziness.
I think that bothers me because it feels like a bit of an easy device, but it also bothered me because the art in these pages I think is where it's maybe at its. I don't know if it's the worst of the book, but it's certainly where I felt like I was less into it. I was really feeling jarred versus like the earlier pages. And then, you know, it's right after that where we get the lights go out and it's like, oh, the sleepless nights are here. And it's just, I mean, and Red Tornado is infected with them. He's evil.
Well, yeah, that's what I don't get. Like, because they, you know, we see that and he's talking and said that he should have stayed in Arkham. And then it's revealed, like, this sleepless night ripped off his head through his spine. I'm like, he's an android. He'll be fine. But how are they talking to him? Are we looking for logic in a nightmare? Like, is this what we're doing? He's
holding up Red Tornado's head, and he's sort of spines dangling from it. But the speech bubbles coming from Red Tornado saying it's way past your bedtime, and it's kind of ominous, like he's the villain. So it feels like he's the villain here. This sleepless night's holding him up and using him as a puppet to like lure Dead Man or Sandman towards them. Which is fine, I guess. But honestly, it took me a minute to really think about what happened in these last two pages because it just kind of comes out of nowhere, and it felt really sloppy to me. You know, if storytelling's conveying information so it just clicks as soon as you get it, then this is like a failure on that level because I had to really stop and think about what the hell was even going on at the end here. Yeah, this was a rough issue for me. We spend a good chunk in the middle with this, like, you know, son of this old cult leader in his mansion having a weird nightmare. Insomnia is there and kills him and turns them into coins. And I feel like if you took that out of the book, right? If it was just Sandman says, hey, there was this cult, they tried to bring the nightmare stone into the world and they failed, but it sent shivers down my spine and I've been worried about it ever since. If that was the end of the mention of that cult, that would be fine. Like that would make sense. But everything with this son character, I'm like, this is just like padding in the middle of this issue that I don't think adds anything to what's going on.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong, because that has no bearing on anything that happens later.
No, and if you
it's just insomnia popping in,
and if you do take that out and you look at what actually happens in the issue, aside from that, like it is literally just Dead Man and Dodge talk a bit at the grave, and then they talk a bit on the Watchtower they're on? Where are they? Is it the Watchtower? No, it's Mr. Terrific's base. That's where it is. They go to Mr. Terrific's base, and then they talk for a bit, and these villains show up. Like, that is it. That is the extent of what's going on in this issue. For an event that only has effectively 5 issues to tell its story, it feels really weird to me that this issue felt like mostly padding. And it's a shame because I really liked the Wesley Dodge revival in the last issue. I was excited by that. And I feel like here, all he did was give some exposition and he's just kind of hanging around. And maybe he'll do something super important in the next 2, and that's fine. But nothing of importance really happens in this issue. This is a fluffy dud issue with bad art. Well, not that all the art's bad, but it's extremely inconsistent and jarring art.
Yeah, it was to the point where, like, we started talking about it and I had to just go refresh because I remembered all the Sandman stuff because that's the stuff I enjoyed. But when you started talking about the back, you know, the last 2 pages with the red and the black, I kind of forgot about it. Because it didn't make that much of an impact. Because I was just like, all right, get through it. So yeah, I thought I had enjoyed it more, but then I remembered what I read. So it is kind of like a nightmare, right? Like,
oh, what a review!
Yeah. So we rating?
Yeah, I don't really have much more to say. I guess the cliffhanger is also a bit of a dud, not just because it's a bit weird and confusing, because these villains just show up out of nowhere that we've never seen before. At least maybe they've popped in the you know, the tie-ins, but like nothing memorable. But I think it's just because... Okay, so Insomnia's got effectively henchmen to like come and like fight when he can't come into the real world. Okay, I guess that makes sense, but it's also like you've not really devoted any time to building them up or making them scary. They've just shown up out of nowhere, and it's almost like it's a comic book. Of course, the villain has henchmen. Well, okay, fine, but that doesn't make them interesting. Doesn't make them exciting. It makes them feel like just a typical trope, so we can have some more fights.
No, if we saw them tearing stuff up in the real world because they've escaped the Nightmare Realm, and then we see them again at the end, and we're like, oh man, what's Dead Man gonna do?
Yeah, or even just the idea that there's some ominous figures like on their way, like they're looking for the heroes, and we're getting closer a little bit throughout the issue, and then they show up at the end. At least then it'd be a payoff, and it'd be like, okay, you've built up a bit of dread. We'll see how this goes next issue. Instead, it just feels like you're throwing them in almost out of nowhere, just to keep these characters busy. And it's a shame because I feel like you could do something with, oh, this is like Deadman and Wesley Dodds and a bunch of like C-listers who aren't the Justice League having to deal with maybe some very powerful antagonists. That could be interesting if you really set up that threat. But as it is, they just kind of feel like nothing characters that are just thrown in at the end. So whatever, I don't care.
True.
Impress me, Williamson.
Hey, just keep writing some cool pulpy stuff, and I'll in the first half, and I'll be happy for a little bit. I'm okay with that. But also, what's Dodd's knockout gas gonna do against these nightmare creatures? Right? Like, it's zombie Wesley Dodds and a Batman piloted by an acrobat, right? Because it's not like it's Bruce fighting them. It's like, what are they gonna do? So. And that's not the type of cliffhanger, you kind of already said that excites me for the next issue. And we're no closer to figuring out where the Nightmare Stone is. Like, this is halfway through now.
Yeah, we're halfway through this entire, 2-month event, and
there's been no clue on which of the nightmares of the heroes it's in.
And not I mean, maybe it'll become more clear by the end, but not a single tie-in so far has felt important to the main story. Not a single one. So, anyway, what are you rating Night Terrors issue 2, Matt?
It's 5.5.
Yeah, I'll hit this with a 4. That sucked.
Oof.
So, can't wait for issue 3. Oh dear, I hate being negative because Connor is going to feel like he's vindicated by being so negative, and I don't like that. I don't want Connor to be rewarded for his cynicism.
No, me neither.
I want to be rewarded when I'm cynical correctly, but I don't want him to be rewarded for cynicism.